Hello, and welcome back to Retro Vinyl. Today, we're heading back to the 1980s, a decade when synthesizers took over the airwaves, cassette tapes filled glove compartments, and it was an era where a single music video could turn an unknown act into a household name overnight. Though, as many R&B artists found out the hard way, getting that video played was a battle in itself. R&B was changing fast. Groups that grew up on classic soul harmonies suddenly found themselves mixing drum machines, electronic keyboards, and brand new production styles. You better stop, girl. And because the music moved so quickly, many talented groups got left behind. Some topped the charts, some influenced future legends, and some left behind songs that still sound incredible today. These are 12 underrated 80s R&B groups you forgot existed. Are you ready or not? It's only up the street. Number 12. BB&Q, Band on the Beat, 1981. Here's the twist nobody talks about. The BB&Q Band, whose name stood for the Brooklyn, Bronx, and Queens Band in tribute to the New York boroughs the musicians called home, had their debut album's backing tracks recorded an ocean away, in Italy. Producer Jacques Fred Petrus, a Guadeloupe-born entrepreneur operating out of Milan, teamed up with Italian composer Mauro Malavasi to write and arrange the music. Then he flew in New York session players and vocalists to lay the soul on top. The whole thing was a transatlantic magic trick, and nobody knew. The result was On the Beat, a funky, irresistible post-disco anthem that hit number 8 on the Billboard R&B chart in 1981, and became an absolute floor filler in clubs across the US and Europe. The band's polished sound was ahead of the early 80s curve, blending European studio precision with gritty New York groove in a way that felt completely American. Petrus would go on to be murdered in 1986. Bringing the group's era to a tragic close. But On the Beat is still appearing in 80s dance compilations more than 40 years later. Are you ready or not? It's where we both to be. Number 11, Lakeside, Fantastic Voyage, 1980. Before Coolio sampled it for his 1994 hip-hop smash, Fantastic Voyage was already a certified piece of funk mythology. Lakeside, the 10-piece funk band from Dayton, Ohio, had been grinding on the Solar Records roster since the late 1970s, building a loyal club following with pure live instrumentation grooves. What set them apart wasn't just the music, it was the visuals. Every album cover featured the entire band in theatrical costumes: pirates, Arabian Nights, 1920s police officers, cowboys, and Robin Hood outfits. This wasn't a marketing gimmick, it was a philosophy. Lakeside believed their shows should feel like an event, not just a concert. Fantastic Voyage hit number 1 on the Billboard R&B chart in early 1981 and became the band's biggest pop crossover moment, peaking at number 55 on the Hot 100, their only single ever to crack the pop charts. The album of the same name was certified gold. Decades later, the song lived on through Coolio's platinum hip-hop remake, appeared in the films Johnson Family Vacation and First Kid, and was featured in Grand Theft Auto: San Andreas.
It's live, live, it's all the way live. Don't even have to walk, don't even have to drive. It's live, live.
Fred Alexander, the band's drummer, later recalled having no idea during the sessions that the song would ever be that big.
We want to be a crew of entertainers. Jam to the
It's now 45 years old and still makes people move.
come along and ride on a fantastic voyage.
Number 10, Ready for the World. Oh Sheila, 1985.
Baby, love me right. Let me love you till you get it right.
Melvin Riley wrote Oh Sheila in his basement in Flint, Michigan, trying out different women's names over the melody until Sheila felt right in the chorus.
Can't you let the others be? 'Cause with you is where I got to be.
It had nothing to do with Sheila E. It had nothing to do with Prince. But when the song hit radio in 1985, both of those connections were assumed immediately.
Oh, sugar, where you been? Hanging out with the Mel.
The production, with its detuned Linn drum rimshots, walled synthesizers, and Riley's yelping vocal style, was so close to the Minneapolis sound that Sheila E. herself reportedly heard it on the radio and asked Prince when he had recorded it. He told her he had nothing to do with it.
Somebody's gonna hurt you the way you love to keep hurting me.
Oh Sheila hit number 1 simultaneously on the Billboard Hot 100, the R&B chart, and the dance chart in 1985, a remarkable triple crown for a self-produced band from Flint that had previously been turned down by every label they approached, and only got signed after Detroit late-night radio legend The Electrifying Mojo began championing their demo.
Baby, it's plain to see that you're qualified to fulfill your needs.
Ready for the World proved that the Minneapolis sound wasn't just Prince's property. It was a frequency anyone could find if they were in the right basement at the right time.
Oh, Sheila, you know I want to be the only one.
Number 9, Loose Ends, Hanging on a String, Contemplating, 1985. Did something in 1985 that no British R&B act had ever done before them. They topped the American Billboard R&B chart. The London trio of Carl McIntosh, Jane Eugene, and Steve Nicol had been quietly building their sound since 1980, developing a sophisticated mid-tempo groove that felt nothing like the big synth-pop dominating UK radio at the time. The Philadelphia producer Nick Martinelli, who layered in analog warmth using 808s, 909 drum machines, and lush keyboard pads, the result was a transatlantic hybrid that American audiences recognized as soul even before they knew where it came from. Hanging on a String reached number 1 on the US R&B chart in 1985, making Loose Ends the first British act to ever achieve that distinction, opening the door for UK soul acts that came after them, from Soul to Soul to the generation that eventually gave the world Amy Winehouse. The song has since been sampled by the Notorious B.I.G. and Frankie Knuckles, introducing its bass line to entirely new generations decades after its release. Jane's crystalline lead vocal remains one of the most underrated performances of the entire decade. Most people have never heard it. Everyone who has never forgets it. 8. The Deele. 2 Occasions, 1987. Babyface never planned to sing 2 Occasions. The vocalist originally scheduled for the lead part didn't show up to the studio that day, and rather than reschedule, Babyface stepped up to the microphone. It was an accident. It became a legacy. The song, written by Babyface, Darnell Bristol, and Sid Johnson, was produced by Babyface and L.A. Reid for the Deele's third album, Eyes of a Stranger, the same record that was also quietly the launchpad for one of the most successful production partnerships in music history. 2 Occasions peaked at number 4 on the Billboard R&B chart and number 10 on the Hot 100 in 1988. AllMusic called it a Quiet Storm classic, and Mariah Carey sampled it 17 years later in We Belong Together. But the bigger story is what came next. Shortly after the album's release, Babyface and L.A. Reid left the Deele and founded LaFace Records in 1989, the label that would go on to break TLC, Toni Braxton, Usher, and Outkast. Everything that came from that label traces back to a Cincinnati R&B group that most people have completely forgotten. The Deele launched two of the most powerful producers in music history. The next group on this list launched a new sound entirely, one that still runs through the genre's DNA today.
If you ever need warmth or comfort.
Number 7, Force M.D.'s Love is a House, 1987. The Force M.D.s started their career performing at hip-hop shows on the streets and underground venues of Staten Island in the early 1980s, blending old-school beatboxing with doo-wop harmonies in a combination nobody had heard outside of a New York sidewalk.
Love is a house, you got the key.
Their name stood for musical diversity, and they meant it. By the time they signed to Tommy Boy Records in 1984, they had developed into a fully formed Quiet Storm act, but their hip-hop roots never disappeared.
Look for the light if you're lost in the night.
Music historians now credit them as major forerunners of the New Jack Swing movement that would define late 80s R&B. Love is a House, released in 1987 from their album Touch and Go, became the Force M.D.'s first #1 R&B hit, and it hit hard, with an up-tempo hook and a layer of vocal harmony that made it feel simultaneously like a club track and a love song.
Darling, I'll be here to hold you near.
Their earlier hit Tender Love from the Crush Groove soundtrack had already shown their range, but Love is a House confirmed they were far more than a novelty act. Three of the group's members would tragically die within a few years of each other in the 1990s, making their catalog feel even more irreplaceable in hindsight.
Love is a house and you got the key.
6 groups down, and one thing is clear. The 80s were filled with incredible R&B talent far beyond the names that usually get remembered.
Music can give lovers inspiration. It's just a taste.
These bands filled dance floors, inspired future stars, and gave us songs that still sound incredible decades later.
Come along, pack your bags, get on up and jam, y'all. Come on.
Many of these groups scored major hits, influenced future artists, and helped shape the sound of the decade, yet somehow slipped through the cracks of history.
Oh, baby, understand that I want to be the only man.
If one of these groups brings back a memory, let us know in the comments, and if you're enjoying the journey, subscribe to Retro Vinyl and stay with us. Because the second half of this countdown might just introduce you to your next favorite forgotten group.
Does it take by me? I'm hoping that
Number 6 Troop, Spread My Wings, 1989. Troop didn't just have a catchy name, they had a philosophy behind it. Troop stood for total respect of other people, a code of conduct that the 5 childhood friends from Pasadena, California carried with them from the moment they formed the group.
I'm tired of being undercover. It's time to
They got their record deal the old-fashioned way, by winning a televised talent contest called Puttin' on the Hits in the late 1980s that put them in front of Atlantic Records. Within a year, they were a platinum act.
always searching but not finding a true heart.
Spread My Wings, written and produced by Chucky Booker, hit #1 on the Billboard R&B chart in 1990 and stayed in the top 10 for weeks.
And let this journey set me free. Set me free.
Their album Attitude was certified platinum. But Troop's deeper legacy runs through the songwriting credits of their lead vocalist Steve Russell, who later wrote Take You Down for Chris Brown, No Air for Jordan Sparks, and the Grammy Award-winning Invisible for Jennifer Hudson.
I'll relax my mind and be at ease.
They also appeared in the film New Jack City, singing a cappella, a scene that cemented their cool, without them needing to sing a single note over a beat. Troupe left music to go write it for the biggest stars in the world. The next group on this list left music history almost by accident. Their biggest song was recorded on an album their label had already decided to drop them from.
We both know that we should not be together, 'cause if we fight.
Number 5, Atlantic Starr, Secret Lovers, 1985.
Secret lovers, yeah, that's what we are.
Atlantic Starr had been together since the mid-1970s, grinding through albums as a 9-piece band, before the lineup fractured in 1984, leaving only the 3 Lewis brothers and one other member.
We shouldn't be together, but we can't let go.
They brought in a new lead singer, Barbara Weathers, recorded what would become their 6th album, and submitted it to A&M Records, who promptly decided to drop them. The label had given up, and then Secret Lovers started playing on the radio.
Here we are, the two of us together.
The song, a slow-burning duet between Barbara Weathers and David Lewis, about 2 married people in love with each other, peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 4 on the R&B chart, and number 1 on the Adult Contemporary chart, all while the label that had dropped them watched the numbers climb.
Wish we didn't have to keep our love out of sight.
It pushed their album to become the first Atlantic Starr release to go gold. Usher sampled it in 2008 for Love in This Club Part 2, featuring Beyoncé.
Living 2 lives just ain't easy at all. But we gotta.
And one more detail worth knowing, back in 1977, Atlantic Starr performed under the name New Band, and only changed it at the personal request of Herb Alpert, who signed them to his label on the condition that they choose something better.
No, we can't be betrayed.
Atlantic Starr turned a label rejection into a gold album. The next group turned a university music program into a revolution.
This is an emergency.
Number 4, Midnight Starr, Operator, 1984.
I call my baby up on the telephone. I got to.
Midnight Starr didn't start in a garage or on a street corner. They started at Kentucky State University in 1976, when a group of music students, led by trumpeter and theorist Reggie Calloway, decided they wanted to build a self-contained band that could write, arrange, produce, and perform everything themselves.
I got connected to a freaky song. The conversation.
By the early 1980s, they had done exactly that, and their double-platinum 1983 album No Parking on the Dance Floor proved it to anyone who doubted them.
The operator said this was no mistake. I've been connected.
Operator was the lead single from their 1984 follow-up, and the story behind it is perfect. Reggie Calloway wanted a song built around everyday communication frustrations. The wrong number, the disconnected line, the operator putting you on hold.
Person to person is how it's got to be. Just one.
Because sampling didn't yet exist, they went into the studio and recorded an actual telephone operator, then ran the voice through a vocoder to create the song's iconic robotic centerpiece.
Operate that body. Operate on me. Picture that body.
Operator hit number 1 on the R&B chart and number 18 on the Hot 100. It remains the band's only Billboard Top 40 pop hit, but its influence on synth-funk, electro, and even hip-hop production runs far deeper than one chart position suggests.
Do it right. I'm gonna operate the love tonight.
Midnight Starr recorded a real operator to make their hit. The next group recorded something even more personal, a family secret that only became a story worth telling after they became stars.
You're a special boy, my baby. And when you
Number 3, 5 Starr, All Fall Down, 1985.
used to wake up at night, feeling so lonely before I knew
5 Starr was not an accident. Buster Pearson, the father of all 5 members, was a former session musician who had worked with Wilson Pickett, When his daughter Denise convinced him to let her record at 15, he agreed, with one condition: her brothers and sisters had to be in the group too.
Tears on my pillow. I didn't know you wanted to know.
Buster modeled the whole project explicitly after the Jackson 5, down to the choreographed routines, the coordinated outfits, and the tight family harmonies. The British press caught on quickly, dubbing them the UK's answer to the Jacksons almost immediately.
Now you've changed my world. I'm wondering how to keep myself.
All Fall Down was 5 Star's breakthrough, peaking at number 15 in the UK and reaching the top 20 on the US R&B chart in 1985. It was the beginning of a run that produced 4 platinum albums between 1985 and 1988, and 15 top 40 singles in the UK alone. They won the 1987 Brit Award for Best British Group. The B-side of All Fall Down, an instrumental called First Avenue, was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best R&B Instrumental Performance, which means a song that most people never heard was recognized at the highest level of the industry.
There's no fear in my mind, 'cause now we're together. Our love keeps growing.
5 Starr were never as unknown as history has made them seem. 5 Starr was a family act built by a father who knew what he was doing. The next group was also built by a visionary, one who ran his operation across 2 continents and paid for it with his life.
Life is too short to live alone.
Number 2 Surface, Shower Me With Your Love, 1988.
Shower me with the love I long for.
Surface were not a group that stumbled into the music industry. David Townsend, Bernard Jackson, and Kevin Roberson arrived as seasoned craftsmen. All 3 had been working as professional songwriters and session players for years before stepping forward as a recording act.
I close my eyes and pray all my.
Their sophisticated, studio-honed approach gave their music a warmth and precision that stood apart from the glossier production dominating late 80s R&B radio.
Pray all my wishes come true.
Note, their specific pre-group credits are widely cited, but detailed verification is ongoing. What's confirmed is their professional background as writers and musicians before Surface existed.
Until you're mine, I'll wait for you.
Shower Me With Your Love became their breakout, climbing to number 5 on the Billboard R&B chart in 1989, and making Surface a fixture on Quiet Storm radio playlists for years.
Don't you see fairy tales they do?
Their songwriting craft gave them a natural edge for ballads, slow, intimate, and built to last. They followed up with a string of R&B hits through the early 90s, including the chart-topping The First Time, which reached number 1 R&B and crossed into the pop top 20.
Love me with the love I've been waiting.
Surface were one of those groups where every album felt like a masterclass in restraint. No excess, no filler. Just songs that knew exactly how long they needed to be.
Love me with the love that I long for.
Surface built their sound on craft and patience. The next group on this list had neither the patience nor the time to wait. They were already legends before most people knew their name.
If you wanna be my girl, you better stop.
Number 1 Klique, Stop Dogging Me Around, 1983.
You better stop, girl.
Klique were a vocal trio from Los Angeles who delivered something that was genuinely rare in the polished early 80s R&B landscape. Blues-soaked modern soul that cut straight through the production gloss and landed directly in the chest.
Dogging me around.
Their sound had grit and conviction in an era when smooth was the dominant currency. Stop Dogging Me Around, their biggest hit, peaked at number 5 on the Billboard R&B chart in 1983, and it did so by connecting to listeners who recognized real feeling when they heard it.
My heart's getting weak. It's not good.
The song was itself a reimagining of a classic early 60s sound, referencing the hard soul and blues tradition that Jackie Wilson and others had established a generation earlier.
Keep me so upset. My head's in a whirl.
In a decade that was rapidly shifting towards synthesizers and drum machines, Klique stood their ground with vocals that felt rooted and raw.
I don't mind you having yourself a real good time.
They were never going to be the flashiest act on the block, but they were one of the truest, and in a countdown about groups the decade forgot, the most underrated thing of all might be a group that simply chose to feel something when everyone else was programming it. 12 groups, 12 stories, and 12 reminders that great music doesn't always get the recognition it deserves. The reason we called this countdown 12 underrated 80s R&B groups you forgot existed isn't because these artists lack talent. Far from it. The 1980s moved fast. New sounds arrived, trends changed, and many outstanding groups were overshadowed before history could fully appreciate their impact. But their music never disappeared. Their songs were sampled, their styles influenced future generations, and their fingerprints can still be heard throughout modern R&B. Which of these groups was already part of your collection? And which one are you excited to rediscover after tonight's countdown? If you enjoyed this trip back in time, don't forget to subscribe to Retro Vinyl and click the notification bell so you never miss another journey through the music that made the memories.
I was something so wrong, be so right.
This is Retro Vinyl. Until next time, keep the needle on the record and the volume right where it belongs.
'Cause we love each other so.